Well, we got a trade and game seven all in one day. What a day to be an NBA fan. The Phoenix Suns have traded Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the 10th overall pick in the upcoming draft and 5 seconds, second round picks. So let's talk about it. Hey y'all, it's Kibwe of the Boxing One. And I really want to talk about this trade from the Sun side first and then we'll go to the Rocket side. Because I normally would do the Star side first, but I'm really interested in what the Suns are doing. Mainly, let's just talk about it, right? So first and foremost, let's talk about the player that they're probably gonna keep, Dylan Brooks. I actually really like them acquiring him. He's gonna give them some much needed defensive help, while also being sort of a mentor to Ryan Dunn, the young defender, the young wing defender. I want to say he's going into the sophomore year, but the wing defender that was just drafted last year in the second round, and I think he showed some flashes. Um, he came out the gate shooting 50% from three in his rookie season, and then obviously it faltered off after like the first month. But still, he's shown flashes. I think Dylan Brooks will help him get to that point. Not to mention getting the 10th overall pick is nice. They're gonna add a young player. Um, Hopefully a good point guard slips to them. Specifically Kasparis Jack. I forgot how to pronounce his name, but I believe he's the Illinois point guard. He's good. He looks really good. I would love for him to be there because he's a bigger guard. But yeah, those two pieces have been really nice. But the key piece that they acquired is Jalen Green. And they are likely going to reroute Jalen Green. And my question right now is where does he go? Like respectfully, because he's one of those players who is I don't think he could be acquired by a contender because he still has so much development to do. And you just can't plug him in that spot. But I also don't believe he is the main guy you build around. So there are only two places that come to mind in terms of a Jalen Green trade. The Charlotte Hornets, and they'd probably move him for Miles Bridges and some picks because the Charlotte Hornets aren't trading Brandon Miller, respectfully. But yeah, and or the Detroit Pistons, who need a secondary ball handler to take the pressure off of Cade Cunningham. That one would be interesting because Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham have beef because Jalen Green believed that he should have went number one overall in that draft, and etc. etc. And that is what I love to see in the NBA. And I would, I think we would lose a great rivalry if they are on the same team. But outside of those two teams, where do you move him? Where do you trade him? I I believe that you could make it work if you bring Bradley Beal off the bench. Book can run the point guard position. He's shown to be a capable playmaker. And Jalen Green could just run the two, play off a Book, and then Bradley Beal. If they want to run the three guard lineup with a young coach like Jordan Ott, I think they could run like a nice little three guard lineup. He said I was watching an interview with him, not an interview, but like somebody asked him a question about what are the principles of an offense, and he basically wanted to instead of running a set offense, it would be a principle offense, where with sets break down, guys often resort to isolation to when these sets break down to like get a bucket. While with principles, there aren't real plays. These guys are just learning the game and learning how to play the right way, and they're just moving, and it's just natural movement. It's just natural offense. We've seen that with the Pacers, and Jordan not being able to implement that with three guards might be really effective, even in this Western Conference. But yeah, I think that's why it's really interesting to be from the Sun side. But aside from all of that talk about where Jalen Green gets rerouted, I like this trade for them because I believe this is the best package they were going to get for KD. You can't get a better package for. Yeah, he's a star, but he's 37 years old. Had has an injury history, unfortunately, and he's entering the last year of his contract, so he's gonna need to be extended. And you know that cap hit is going to be a massive hit. But aside from I mean, this is a good trade for them. I actually really like the return they got. I really thought they were only going to get Jalen Green in the 10th overall pick. Getting Dylan Brooks is a nice touch. Getting those seconds for depth is a nice touch. So yeah, now to the Rocket side. This is why I wanted to say the best for last because I really like this for them. This is them basically putting all their chips in the table. Or not even all their chips actually, because they still have a boatload of young assets, at least young players that they could use in future trades to make this roster work in season or even in the off season. But this is a way to kind of say signify to the West, like, hey, we're ready to compete now. We're not going to wait for development. We are ready to compete now. We have a star to pair with Alfred Şengün, and I love the depth of this team. I love the versatility that this team offers. Um, Also with the coaching side of things, Kevin Durant and Ime Udoka already have a relationship because of KD and Ime Udoka's involvement in Team USA. And also, if I remember correctly, Ime Udoka was also an assistant with the Nets coaching staff. So it will be very interesting to see how that works. Not to mention, now that they shipped out Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, there are more touches for the young guys on the team, for the Amen Thompsons, for the Reed Shepherds, for the Cam Whitmores, for the Tari Easons. There's there are now some more minutes and touches for those guys, specifically at the two guard spot and the one. Um, then on top of that, Kevin Durant's veteran leadership, I mean, I think that will be instrumental to Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, and Cam Whitmore's development. Also Reed Shepard, but all the young guys will benefit from KD's leadership. And my favorite part about this is gonna be seeing how Amen Thompson develops. Because yeah, he's not as tall as KD, but with his lankiness and his length, I think he can be he can adopt his playstyle. An efficient mid-range shooter and eventually extend that out to the three-point line. He doesn't need to take many shots, but I really think he would fit the mold of KD. He can, if he fulfills his full potential, he can fit that KD brand of basketball where he's not going to be as efficient in the mid-range. Of course not. It's Kevin Durant. But he can be a very good creator with KD's leadership helping him out. Then, I also forgot to mention Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith, I mean, KD's going to be very instrumental to Jabari Smith's development, especially his handle, especially if he gets his handle down. Because Jabari Smith is a very good shot maker, um, good 3-and-D guy already. He's a damn good defender. Uh, but yeah, which leads me into my next point, lineup versatility. I was just looking at the roster and I see all these lineups they could run, and oh my goodness, this team is huge. This team is big. They can, for example, their starting front court is probably going to be 6'10 Durant, 6'10 Jabari Smith, and Alfred Şengün at the five. You're gonna have two. Let's be real here. Kevin Durant's a 7-footer, and Jabari Smith is basically a 7-footer with shoes on. So you're gonna have 2, 3 7-footers in that front court alone. Not to mention, Amen Thompson is probably going to be running that too if he's starting, or it's going to be Reed Shepard running the two, which is even scary because Amen Thompson gets to run the bench unit, and then you have Fred VanVleet. So you can either have a small backcourt or just have Fred VanVleet start the one, and you have Amen Thompson start the two, and just have a big lineup with a smaller guard who is a good defender at his position. Um, So the defensive versatility for this team is gonna be astonishing. Then, not to mention, you have two guys who could be small ball fives. I know this isn't the Warriors version of Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant was a small ball five at times in that Warriors system, and he was effective on that defensive end. He was pretty effective. Yes, this is pre Achilles tear, so take that with a big grain of salt. But in limited minutes against the right team, that lineup can be run well, especially on the offensive side, because that's just a 5-out lineup. I mean, imagine Van Vliet, Amin Thompson, um, let's see, Tari Eason, KD at the 4, Jabari Smith running small ball 5, or Jabari Smith at the 4, KD running small ball 5. Like, obviously, this wouldn't be a starting lineup, but this could be a very effective lineup in the playoffs, especially matching up against an OKC team who does a lot of damage with their small ball lineup. This could be an effective lineup to nullify that. Um, so yeah, this is gonna be really interesting. I actually love this Rockets team. I love this Rocket squad. I mean, they were just the second seed. They were just a 52, 51 win team. They were a 50-win team. They just needed the experience to get them over the top. And now they have three guys on the roster with rings. Jalen Green. I said Jalen. Jeff Green, Fred VanVleet, and Kevin Durant. So now you have three guys with legitimate championship experience on this team to help propel them to the promised land. But I'll give you all a final grade. I think this is an A for the Rockets. They held firm. They didn't give up Cam Whitmore. They didn't give up Tari Eason. They didn't give up one of their young guys outside of. They only gave up one of their young guys. And I think he was the best out of them right now, at least. Not potential wise, obviously. But I didn't think he was gonna fit in the system. I really didn't think he would fit this timeline for them. But it's this is great. And then on the Sun side, I give it a B plus because I'm waiting to see what they do with Jalen Green and where they move him to because they are getting off of him. They want to move him. This is this has already been theorized pre-trade. Shams already had a report about this, and now he just had another report basically confirming that. So that's going to be extremely interesting because in my books it would be an A if they kept Jalen Green because I like the idea of Jalen Green being developed and mentored by a Devin Booker and a Bradley Beal. I like that idea. Yeah, because Bradley Beal's contract will probably be up in 2 years, I want to say. But yeah, I really like it. But I'll give it A for the Rockets, B plus for the Suns. What do you guys think? Comment below, like, follow, subscribe, and peace.